settle down with the noise. We'll get started with Carlos. Who's got the first question? Who's up first? We'll start with Kyle on your left, Carlos.
Carlos, obviously this team has a few homegrown guys, but the majority of the club, yourself included, came from other places. How would you say you guys as a unit have kind of, come together, and what's that dynamic been like with so many guys coming from, outside the org and coming together?
I'm sorry, what was the beginning of your question? I didn't understand.
Oh, just in general, how would you say you guys have come together, chemistry-wise, makeup-wise,
right,
all from different spots together?
There's a few similar faces that guys have played together on this team, and I came in last year. Obviously, we had a rough year, but I was welcomed with open arms, and then we had the likes of Juan Soto and a few other bullpen arms, and I mean it's pretty easy to mesh with this group. I think the Yankees are very good at knowing who they want to go get and the kind of players they want to get. So yeah.
Other questions, Meredith?
Carlos, what have you learned from your postseason starts so far, and how do you apply that when you're approaching a lineup that has as much firepower as the Dodgers do?
Yeah. This lineup's pretty potent. They can definitely swing it, and they have a good idea what the strike zone is. Just kind of carrying, that demeanor coming into tomorrow. Just trying to stay focused on pitch by pitch and give my team the best chance to win. Yeah, just keeping it under control and just going out there and competing.
Other questions? We'll go to the fourth row on your left, Carlos.
What are those challenges in facing a potent lineup like this, where you have the superstars at the top and then depth throughout?
It's just, I think a lot of it has to do with, it's what's in front of you, and you go and you compete. I mean, we're all pretty good. I know they have good hitters, but we're here for a reason. I'm here for a reason. I think our lineup's just as good. Honestly, I think we're better, but I'm biased. I'm here. I'm a big leaguer too, so I'm supposed to get those guys out. That's what I'm paid for.
Far back on your right, Carlos. Bill?
Carlos, there's a lot of talk around here, obviously, about Fernando Valenzuela, who 40 years ago threw 147 pitches in a World Series game. Does part of you wish you kind of were around in that era to try stuff like that, or do you kind of like it better the way it is now?
I mean, I definitely like the old school way of baseball. I also enjoy the analytics of baseball and understand, the moves within the game and, third time through it and all this, whatnot in technology. But I enjoyed when pitchers would go out there and throw 130 pitches and you let them go out and you let them get through 7 innings. Because, if you didn't get through 6 or 7 innings, it kind of was like a bad start. It seemed like post or pre-2010, I would say, there's a starter that didn't give you depth, and now, you get through 2 times through the order, and the bullpen's just so good nowadays, and these guys just throw so hard, it's easy to go and rely on them as well. So, yeah, it's tough to the news with Fernando. He was so great. He had a big impact for the Dodgers, and what a tremendous pitcher.
First row on your left, John.
When you look at the success the Yankees bullpen has had, what is the level of confidence that you all have, and how impressed are you by just the resilience that you've seen from them over the last couple of weeks and months?
Yeah, they've been so great. In the ALCS, they were so great. I think I came out of game 4, or is that game 4 or 5? I'm not sure. Was it? I think it was game 5. I came out in the 5th, and they come in and they shut the door. I think Mark Leiter came in a big spot and got out of the jam there, and they didn't give a run the rest of the game. And we were fortunate we won the pennant that day. And if we look back, throughout that whole series, they were pretty much nails. Had a tough go. Was it game 3? Back and forth. What a great game 3 was, if you guys remember, with the Paul Fry walk off, and then during Kenzie Noel, the big 2-run homer to tie it. That was probably the first. I don't know if they gave up any runs before that. They might have, maybe 1 or 2. But throughout the postseason, our bullpen has been something we've been really leaning on.
5 rows back on your right, Zach.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. Carlos, you said you feel like you guys are better.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be in this position if we didn't think that way. I'm sure they think they're better than us too, and that's how you have to approach this. Go ahead. Sorry.
We'll go to Tyler on your right, Carlos.
And coming off last year, what was the biggest reason that you were able to get back to being Carlos Rodón, and how hard was that to go through?
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with just confidence in my ability and in myself. Just finding it and going out there, and competing and proving myself that I'm able to still play this game, because last year was hard. I mean, it wasn't easy. I wish I'd performed better, but last year's last year, and I had a goal stepping into this year that I just wanted to be confident and go out there and try to make every start I can. So I think it has worked out thus far, but there's one more thing that I know me and my teammates want to do, and so.
Go up front on your left, Carlos. Ron.
How many pitches into a start does it take you to decide or have a feel for what's working that night?
It's hard. In the postseason, you're not really thinking about like this is working, this is not working. I think it's these postseason starts for me. It's just like what's the pitch called, and I'm going to try to go execute it. I'm not really thinking like, hey, my slider's not working, or hey, my fastball's not working. Your mind doesn't my mind doesn't wander those spaces. In the regular season, it's a little different. Game feels, not that it's this in the postseason it's faster, but I think I think you have to be the blinders have to be up when you're in these postseason starts, and you're just focused on whoever's calling the game that night, that you just want to make that pitch. So. Yeah, I don't know if there's much time to think about, hey, this is working or this is not working.
Like the first start against Cleveland, what
point
did you realize you had your best swing and miss stuff that night?
I don't know. I just I'm trying to think back to that start. I think after it was a fastball, I threw to Fry, I think, up in the zone, and he swung through it. I knew the fastball up was going to work, and then there was some slider chase and some slider miss. I mean, I can't remember. I can't really put a finger on an exact pitch in that game, but the one I remember the most was the fastball up. I think it was in the first inning that I struck him out on. And if we go back to Cleveland, there's not much miss in that lineup. They're a contact-driven lineup, but I just can't remember.
Couple more, Carlos. Third row on your right.
Hey, Carlos. With the playoffs, I assume there's extra adrenaline working. Do you have to consciously tell yourself to kind of, Yeah,
there's times where I'm like, hey, you got to slow down and back off, because I'm notorious for overcooking pitches and trying to throw the ball too hard, or trying to make a slider, as unhittable as I can. So then I try to do too much, and it just kind of loses the profile and loses the effectiveness of the pitch.
Anything else for Carlos? All right, Carlos, best of luck
Thank
in the
you,
World
guys.
Series. Thank you so
See
much.
ya.
Appreciate it.